Do you want to learn how to cook hot smoked salmon on your barbecue at home from the ground up? I will show you in this video how easy it is and how delicious the result will be. One of the favorite dishes of my family is the hot smoked salmon because it's a dish that's very easy to prepare and it's very easy to execute. And in this video I will show you exactly how. And what you need for this is you need, of course, a piece of salmon, and you need a charcoal grill. And on top of that, you need some hardwood that needs to be soaked in water. These are the main ingredients that you need to have to be able to do this recipe. The whole preparation starts in the kitchen, where you pull out some tin foil and make sort of a bed that will host the salmon while it's being smoked on the barbecue. In this way, you can very easily transport the salmon from the different stages that you need to put it through. You've probably seen hot smoked salmon recipes on the web or the YouTube before, and it's a very lengthy process. So what I'm going to show you today is something that you can do within a couple of hours. And maybe you do want to split it over a whole day, but the whole process in total should not take more than maybe 30 minutes in total, everything compressed. Maybe 45 minutes. After I've laid down 3 layers of tin foil, there's the wife with the beer. What's not to like about that? Then I will put the tin foil on top of a plate before I take out the salmon and put it onto the tin foil. And of course get rid of the waste. So the next step in the process is that I want to brine or pull out some of that moisture of the salmon. And the way to do that is sort of to sprinkle it with a rough layer of salt and sugar. And depending on how much moisture you want to extract from the fish, you can do this over a couple of hours in the fridge. So a good suggestion would be actually to do this in the morning and then just leave it during the day in the fridge. Then you would see a lot of moisture has been extracted from the fish. For this video, I was just letting it sit for maybe half an hour to an hour in the fridge while I was preparing the grill. And what better opportunity to enjoy a cold beer. So now we're preparing the grill. This is just a standard Weber charcoal grill, but you can use almost any brand for this purpose. Adding in half a tower of charcoal, I make sure that the grill is clean, so there's a clean exhaust in the bottom, and I leave it open. For the smoke, I'm using hardwood, and you can experiment with different types of wood that will provide different kind of flavors to your smoking process. For this purpose, it was just simply dried hardwood. I need to figure out what this is called in English, but I'll write it on the screen what type I was using. But from past experience, wood from cherry or apple is pretty good for this smoking process. Then I ignite the tower with the charcoal and wait for that to heat up. I make sure that the wood is wetted in each end so there's no dry spots. So after the coals have been heated up properly and being red all the way to the top, I will distribute those in one side of the grill or the barbecue. Is it called grill or barbecue? Let me know in the comment below. Then I will put on the crate and then the lid and let everything heat up. So I make sure that everything that is not supposed to be inside the grill is killed off. After the crate has been heated up and been sitting in the grill for a while, I will clean off the crate with a steel brush. So everything is nice and clean, ready for use. So far, nothing complicated here. After the grill has been heated up, it's time to generate some smoke. So we can do some nice salmon loving. And we take the wood that I've been soaking in water for quite a while. It's normally enough just to let it soak for a couple of hours before you use it. I've been getting by with less time, but of course the longer time that the wood is inside the water, the more it will soak and the more intense the smoke will be. But for this video, the wood have been sitting in the water for around 2 hours or so. I just turned it once in a while to make sure there were no dry spots. Because if there are dry spots on the wood, that will burn, so it will generate flames instead of smoke. And it's the smoke that we want. So I simply take a few sticks of wood and then I make sure that it's not too wet when I put it down on the charcoal. And then I make sure that they are distributed so they're all getting heat. And then a small pro tip is that you shouldn't start the barbecue process right away, or the smoke process right away. You should simply just make sure that there is smoke generated before you put the salmon onto the crate. So I close off the grill, and then I will simply wait until the smoke has started to occur. And that can take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. And while this is smoking up, I will head back to the kitchen and do the final steps to the salmon to prepare it for the hot smoke process and rinse it off. You can see all that moisture that surrounds the fish. And if you extend that process, the amount of moisture will be even more. I make sure to rinse off everything nicely with cold water. But notice that I keep it on the tin foil, making it very hygienic to handle. Then I dry off the fish, so I make sure that it's completely dry before I add on additional spices. And here you will see different approaches depending on what video that you're watching. Some would actually say after you have dried off the fish, it's ready to be put on the barbecue for smoking. And then let it smoke for maybe half the time before you add the marinade on top of the fish. That will make the smoke stick even more. I simply don't do that. I simply skip that step. I might experiment with that at some point just to taste the difference. But I had pretty good results by just adding the coating or the amount of spices that I want onto the fish before mounting it on the grill, meaning that you can just let it sit out there and do its job and just pick it out when it's done. First we are starting to add a layer of salt, then some barbecue spice. And you can variate this in many ways depending on what flavors that you like. And then some honey. That's very, very important. The sugar is what makes the smoke stick to the fish. So I add some honey. I had a bottle of spicy chili sauce, and I will add a little bit of that to give it a little bit of kick. Finally, I finish off the process by adding some regular white sugar. So now the grill is producing a decent amount of smoke, and we are ready to start smoking. Not smoking. Smoke the salmon. So I will simply transfer the tin plate foil from the plate onto the crate in the opposite end of the charcoals. Then I will put on the lid, and I will orient the lid so the outlet of the grill is in the opposite side of where the wood is located. In that way we can generate a nice flow across the salmon. From here it's basically very, very simple. You just clock in 20 minutes on your timer, and then you wait for the salmon to be smoked. In that way, not only the meat will be smoked, but you will also have a very well prepared side of salmon. It will not be overcooked, it will not be undercooked. It will be just perfect. The side of the salmon weighs around 600 to 700 grams. I never touch or open the lid while the process is going on. I trust that 20 minutes would be sufficient to get a good result. Now it's time to take a look. Look at that! Doesn't that look delicious? And you can test if the fish is done by simply pressing it. It should be like spongy and not soft when you press it on the top in the thick end. You could use a thermometer meter. I can't say that. You can use one of these sticks that you can measure the temperature to make sure that you have the right temperature inside the fish, if you don't trust this very simple approach by just pressing on top of the fish. So now we're ready to eat. Because it was such a beautiful evening, we decided to serve the hot smoked salmon on top of a pasta salad, which was a very light and delicious dish that matches the evening well, and it was well accompanied by a glass of rosé wine. So that was a very, very nice combination. Let me just cut the first slice so I can show you what it looks inside. Super well prepared, and it has a nice surface with a smoky flavor. Some would prefer that the smoke flavor is much stronger than what it actually was, but it was really, really delicious. And as you can see from the empty plate, everybody enjoyed the food. The practical approach about using the tinfoil bed is that when you are done with everything and everything is eaten, you can simply just fold it up and throw it in the trash. So there's no nasty fish residues in your barbecue for next time that you are grilling. So this was at least our approach for making hot smoked salmon. You might do it differently. Let me know in the comment below. There might be inspiration and new ways to do it that I'm not even aware of. Also let me know if you want to follow along. I've been doing a lot of cooking in the past and had a food blog for a long time, but that was hacked by some Russians that wanted to use it for bit mining or something, bitcoining or something. So I didn't bring that up to speed lately. So it might be even a better approach for me to start doing some of these food videos and then put it on my personal channel, Henrik Olsen.